Hello, rules time. Number 1, any Pokemon that faints must be permaboxed. Number 2, I can only catch the first wild Pokemon encountered in each area, no dupes. Number 3, no items during battles. Number 4, no overleveling. Then number 5, I have to set the battle mode to set. There are no rules for the starters this time, as we are forced to choose a Bulbasaur for the starter. As I named my character A, as usual, I decided not to think too much about the rival's name and just chose Green. I would later be severely punished for this, as he pulled out an Ultra Instinct Charmander and just demolished me on the first battle. Seriously, it wasn't even close. I ran test recordings for this run before actually starting it, and it went fine. I don't know why, but I keep wiping at the first battle of these challenges, and this was supposed to be the easier monotype challenges. Anyway, during the second run, our rival would be known as my ass. In honor of his fallen predecessor, the second Bulbasaur was named Froggo version 2. Hit it better than the previous one, although this battle was still really close. Seriously, why is the first battle with Bulbasaur so hard? I decided to skip the rival battle west of Viridian and enter the forest, where I caught the next team member, Vermo, the Weedle. After grinding Froggo version 2 to the level cap of 14, we went ahead and challenged Brock. Froggo took out the Geodude with one Vine Whip, as well as the Onix after it missed the bind. First badge acquired with no trouble at all, unlike the first FireRed run in this channel. With the triumph over Brock, I had to painfully train Vermo. He finally evolved into a Beedrill at level 10. I'm not going to lie, grinding levels for Vermo took a lot out of me throughout this whole run. At the grass patch just beneath Mount Moon, we caught Bunno, the Nidoran. Being a bit paranoid for Mount Moon, I trained Nidoran at the same grass patch until he evolved into a Nidorino, just to be safe. Inside the mountain cave itself, Batto, the Zubat, was forced to join the team against her will. For the next rival fight at Cerulean, I led with Bunno against my ass's Pidgeotto. Bunno kept up a good fight with Pex, though in the end I switched him for Vermo for safety. Vermo took out the Pidgeotto with a Poison Sting, and next was his Charmander. I took a chance with a Poison Sting in hopes that it would poison the Charmander, and thankfully it did. Vermo then would survive the Ember hit, and all according to plan. Bunno came back out and tanked an Ember before kicking the Flame Lizard to death. He would then peck the rival's Abra before double kicking the Rattata to oblivion. You know that saying, always play around a critical hit? Yeah, that concept obviously flew right out of my head most of the time. After being called a gossip by my ass, I caught an Oddish. Smello is her name. Next up was Misty. Similar to Brock, she didn't really put up much of a fight. Froggo one-shot her Staryu with a Vine Whip, while her Starmie got hit with 2 before hitting the sack. I got lucky with a critical hit on the second whip, but this fight was never going to be a nail-biter anyway. Cascade badge obtained, and onwards we go. We casually took part in a human experimentation project and received the SS ticket. As a backup, Snako joined the roster. Another painful grind was Batto the Zubat, but eventually after many close calls I was able to evolve it into a Golbat. Upon reviewing Nidorino and Nidoking's move pool by leveling up, I decided to just hammer a Moonstone into Bunno and evolve it into a Nidoking. Following the series of evolutions was Smello, who managed to evolve into a Gloom. My ass came down from some low-key elder abuse and challenged us to a fight. Leading the fight was Batto, up against Pidgeotto. Batto pretty much just spammed wing attacks until they hit, occasionally missing some because he got sand in his eyes. When the Pidgeotto finally caved in, I switched Vermo on the first turn with the Kadabra. Luckily, it went for a disable. Vermo tanked a Confusion and took it out with a Twin Needle. If it had started with anything else besides a disable, I think I would have lost Vermo there. In any case, I switched for Bunno once the Charmeleon was out and took it out with a Dig. Bunno finished the battle with a double kick to the Raticate's face. Up in the captain's room, we found the captain left for dead by my ass. We then rubbed something of his to get the HM cut. The Army veteran Lieutenant Surge was up next. Unfortunately, my footage got corrupted when it got to the Pikachu. But similar to how Bunno took out the Voltorb, he pretty much just bulldozed through the Pikachu and Raichu with digs. Lieutenant Surge didn't really stand a chance. Next up was Erika at the Celadon Gym. To save Batto from all the hard work, I led with Vermo. The strategy here is just to take as many Pokemon as I can with Vermo before I have to eventually switch to Batto. So, with Twin Needles, Vermo was able to take out Erika's Victory Bell and Tangela. It got a little bit too close for comfort at her Vileplume, so I switched Batto out to close the fight. One wing attack did the job. With the Rainbow Badge in our pocket, we ventured on. Another major obstacle in our quest for progress was Giovanni at the game corner. Froggo was up first, dominating the first half of the battle with Razor Leaves. The Onix and Rhyhorn ate the sharp leaves well, which left them unconscious. Froggo took a Mega Punch from the Kangaskhan, but not before leaving it poisoned. Bunno came out and took a Mega Punch as well, but he retaliated with a double kick, which got a crit on the second kick. Bunno would then eat a punch to the jaw, but the Kangaskhan went down from stomach pains. He could probably use some Pepto-Bismol. Giovanni then fled, leaving the Sylph Scope behind. I needed Thunderbolt, but I absolutely couldn't take one more minute of slots gambling in this game, so I blew all my money buying coins and got Bunno the Thunderbolt move. Froggo decided to grow up and turn into a Venusaur. The Pokemon Tower. Time for my ass. His Pidgeotto was up first, so Bunno had to prove that all the money spent was worth it. And it was, as he took out the bird with one Thunderbolt. I considered switching Vermo for the Execute, but decided to go with Bato in the end. He was put to sleep after a wing attack, but Bato woke up in 2 turns and took out the egg colony. Bato would also then bite my ass's Kadabra until it fainted. When the Gyarados came out, Bunno once again took charge and proved why he was worth 80,000 Pokédollars. He tanked a trash move and took out the Water Dragon with a Thunderbolt. And to just completely piss on the rival, Bruno forced 2 Thunderbolts on the Charmeleon. Bato tried to evolve, but the game wouldn't let him. At the tower, Ghosto joined the team. East of Fuchsia, Motho, the Venonat, was captured. After a smidge of grinding, Ghost evolved, and so did Motho, which evolved at level 41 in order for him to learn Psychic. Because of the late level up to learn Psychic, Motho ended up being extremely vital in the next gym battle with Koga. By extremely vital, I meant that Motho single-handedly took out Koga's team with Psychic. The hardest part for Motho was probably the Weezing, which refused to go down from Psychic. Koga healed his Weezing about 3 times before finally giving in and taking the L. One of the reasons I beat Koga first was so that I could use the HM Surf. I needed a slave for Surf, so I caught a Nidorina over at the Safari Zone and named it Bunny. I then force-fed her a Moonstone so she could evolve into a Nidoqueen to learn Surf. South of Fuchsia City with Surf, I encountered a Tentacool, which was named Jellyfellow. Did you see that name coming? One short grinding session later, Jellyfellow evolved into a Tentacruel. Once again, I blew another 80,000 Pokédollars at the game corner to buy the Ice Beam TM for Jellyfellow. Following the trend after my Platinum run, I decided to apply the randomizer to evolve Ghosto into a Gengar. I would have done the trait had I done this run on an actual Game Boy, so here we are. Trait evolutions are insanely short-sighted on Game Freak's part, in my opinion. We would next encounter my ass at the Sylphco building. After a bit of talking, he challenged us yet again. As per usual, he led with Pidgeot. This time I led with Jellyfellow, who was able to take out the bird with 2 Ice Beams. Next was the Egg Gang, which was also taken out with an Ice Beam. My ass's Alakazam came next, so I switched to Ghosto. Alakazam set up a Reflect on the switch-in, so all was good. Ghosto outsped the Alakazam because of the level difference and hit a Shadow Ball, which left a sliver of health. Thankfully again, the Alakazam decided to set up a Calm Mind, leaving Ghosto an easy battle as he finished with another Shadow Ball. My ass sent out a Gyarados next. Bunno was the natural counter in the team. Bunno took out the Gyarados with a Thunderbolt after tanking a Dragon Rage. Bunno also outsped the Charizard, paralyzing it with a Thunderbolt. The rest is pretty straightforward as Bunno forced his Thunderbolts for the eventual victory. He still smelled us in the end though. Giovanni was next. His Nidorino came out first and my Jellyfellow took on the challenge. It took 2 Surfs from Jellyfellow. When his Kangaskhan was out once more, I switched to Bunno. Same strategy, more double kicks. Bunno kept kicking the Kangaskhan. I don't know where, but I like to imagine the baby getting kicked in the pouch. Eventually it went down. Bunno then took care of the Rhyhorn with Digs. When it was time for the Nidoqueen, I switched back to Jellyfellow for the type advantage. It took 2 serves. Once again, we've saved Sylphco from the rocket takeover. It was time for the Psychic Gym, Sabrina. I led with Vermo, who took out Sabrina's Kadabra with ease with his Twin Needle. At the Mr. Mime, I took the time to set up an agility so Vermo could outspeed the upcoming Alakazam. The Psybeam from the Mr. Mime made me clench my butt a little, but it was all good. Vermo took out the Mr. Mime with more Twin Needle, as well as the Alakazam. The Venomoth at the end had the type resistance, so after taking a really risky Psybeam, I switched to Jellyfellow. He bulldozed his way to victory with serves. At the Pokemon Mansion in Cinnabar Island, we caught Bologasso, the Coughing. The Blaine fight needs no commentary once again, as he proved to be a pushover yet another time. Jellyfellow just did his thing and swept his entire team with Surf. What FireRed Nuzlocke is complete without the return of Bill, the human experiment, Lostel's dad, the most irresponsible dad, Weak Biker Gang, Reapus Hypno and Lostel, and some random dude who's really forgettable. Last gym fight time. This fight also doesn't really need any strategic commentary, as it was just Jellyfellow in its entirety. He pretty much just blasted Giovanni's entire team with serfs, all one-hit kills. We got the Earthquake TM, which was given to Bunno. Before the next ass fight, I grinded for a bit and got everyone to level 55. My ass opened with a Pidgeot and I sent in Ghosto, who learned Thunderbolt and Psychic from a total of 80,000 Poké investment. Ghosto took down the Pidgeot with one Thunderbolt. Next was the Alakazam, who was outsped by Ghosto. It got taken out with one Shadow Ball. Our rival sent out his Rhyhorn next, and I switched Jellyfellow in for the type advantage. After tanking an attack, Jellyfellow drowned the Rock Rhino with one Surf. Afterwards, Jellyfellow froze the eggs to death. Once it was time for his Gyarados, I switched back to Ghosto. After wasting his turn on a Rain Dance, Ghosto took out the Gyarados with a Thunderbolt. Additionally, Ghosto also took out his Charizard in one shot with a Thunderbolt. Right after this fight, I would then grind my team to level 60, the level cap, with some EV training mixed in. So, here's how my team looked for the Elite Four. First up was Batto the Golbat, second is Vermo the Beedrill, then Jellyfellow the Tentacruel, Bunno the Nidoking, the penultimate is Ghosto the Gengar, and lastly, Froggo version 2, the Venusaur. First Elite Four up is Lorelei. I choose to lead with Ghosto for his Thunderbolt move and the fact that I want to level Ghosto up so that he could outspeed the rival's Alakazam at the champion fight. In any case, Ghosto was able to one-shot Lorelei's Dugong and Slowbro with a Thunderbolt. Then she sent out her Lapras. The Lapras survived the Thunderbolt and managed to heal while dishing out an Ice Beam. But Ghosto finally managed to take it out with a Thunderbolt and a Psychic after. Ghosto would then one-shot the Cloyster and the Jinx with a Thunderbolt and Shadow Ball, respectively. 1 down, 3 to go. Next was Bruno. Jellyfellow was up, and it was another day at the office for the big jellyfish. Jellyfellow swept through Bruno's first 2 Onix with Surfs. When it was time for the Hitmonchan, Jellyfellow needed 2. Same goes for the Hitmonlee. By this point, Jellyfellow was only at half health, so I had to send Ghosto back out. The first Psychic managed to take it only to Red, so Ghosto had to work in a Thunderbolt before letting out the final Psychic attack. The Agatha fight was next, and Ghosto also made quick work of it. He pretty much tore apart the old lady's team with 5 Psychics in total. Yeah, nothing much to say here. And here comes Lance. This fight was definitely the hardest out of all the Elite Four. Lance let Gyarados, so naturally I let with Ghosto. His Gyarados was taken out with one Thunderbolt. As did his Aerodactyl, surprisingly, also with one Thunderbolt. When his Dragonite was sent out, I switched to Jellyfellow. Jellyfellow tanked an Outrage hit before being able to attack with an Ice Beam. Another Ice Beam hit later, the Dragonite was down, but Jellyfellow was already in the orange. Lance sent his Dragonair, and I opted for another Ice Beam. This Dragonair barely survived the Ice Beam and hit Jellyfellow with a Thunder Wave. Lance used a full restore, and Jellyfellow hits another Ice Beam that still only leaves a sliver of health. I tried to use a Surf to dampen the HP a little bit, but Jellyfellow was paralyzed. The next turn, we successfully shot an Ice Beam that once again takes the health down to Red, but Lance decided to use a Hyper Beam. As my pants were left soiled, Jellyfellow finishes off the Dragonair with the Surf. For the final Dragonair, I sent out Froggo, a fresh face in this Elite Four run. Froggo stacked a Growth, then forces his way to victory with Giga Drains. Too close for comfort this battle. Finally, it was time for my ass. I swear we just battled you 5 minutes ago. First up was his Pidgeot again, so out goes Ghosto. Thunderbolt kill. Next was his Alakazam, which Ghosto outsped because of the speed EV training and the level gap. It went down with one Shadow Ball. His Gyarados also goes down with one Thunderbolt. Next was his fully grown egg colony, and after some pondering, I decided to keep Ghosto on. Not the smartest move, since I ended up trying to force a Shadow Ball finish without success. Ghosto got put to sleep, and I had to switch him out for Batto. Batto had to struggle with some Sleep Powder and Egg Bombs, but he finally managed to take out the coconut tree thing with wing attacks. Then my ass's penultimate Pokemon was sent out, his Rhydon. I naturally switched for Jellyfellow, but not before confusing the Rhydon just for the sake of it. Batto got lucky with the RNG, then got switched out. The Rhydon managed to hit himself twice, meaning Jellyfellow didn't have to take any damage before taking it out. Lastly was his Charizard. Jellyfellow opened with a Surf, which took down its health to red, then got hit by an Aerial Ace. A berry healed the Charizard's health back to orange, and the AI opted not to heal. Jellyfellow surfed down the Charizard with ease. And with that, the poison only run is complete. As expected, this run wasn't too difficult, and it only gave me a few scares. The hardest part of this run would probably be the starter battle. That one is just bad. Something that I anticipate a lot of people would raise a problem with is my usage of trait evolutions. Again, the concept of trait evolutions doesn't really make sense to begin with. It was something that probably started as a gimmick. In this case, I would have done it had this been on an actual console, but the randomizer patch was the only way. The next game I would do would probably be Hard Gold or Soul Silver, so hopefully work doesn't turn too busy. After everything is all said and done, we had to rename Ghosto into the Bunno. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. I'll be putting out contents similar to this. Thank you for watching.